Well, I think it obviously gives us dry powder to execute on our growth vectors, and we've got a few. The most notable one is our commercial space station effort to replace the International Space Station. That's called Starlab. We're in partnership with other global companies on that effort. We're the controlling shareholder of that JV. We're also very focused on national security and defense, and so we play very strongly into smart missile defense and specifically what we believe to be some of the pushes into the Golden Dome initiative as well.
Dylan, Voyager's IPO has exceeded expectations in terms of first day performance. I mean, I'm seeing the stock that's surging triple digits. How does that make you feel?
You know, we're focused. We're focused on the future, and it's really about execution at this point. We knew the market would well receive our offering. We got that in the roadshow and the way the book built and our oversubscription. And we figured the stock would trade well, but we're really focused on deploying capital, executing on our business plan, and growing the business from here. That's really where we're focused.
Dylan, it's Ed in San Francisco. That's very disciplined of you. If I did an IPO and the stock was up 100%, I might give a different answer. This is a world, and out of this world that I cover so closely, you know that. You're not the only private or publicly traded name that has a vision for the future where there are privately built and operated space stations.
Right.
Why will Voyager succeed, and why will it be first?
Well, I think we have a technical design, frankly, that's very differentiated from our competition. That's one. Secondly, as I said earlier, we have international partners. Those partners have been hand-selected because they have built components of the International Space Station in place today. So we have the right team. And I think we have the right capital structure as well. That's a separate joint venture, as I mentioned earlier. Voyager's the majority shareholder of it, but there are other notable Fortune 50 companies involved in that initiative, including Palantir, Airbus, and Mitsubishi. So I think we have the right team with the right technical solution.
Dylan, Starlab is really a multi-billion-dollar revenue opportunity. Just how important is Starlab to Voyager's future?
You know, it's an important program within Voyager. It's important to note we're a real company on programs of record today, generating revenue, lots of operating leverage built up in our business. We've been quite acquisitive. We've made 7 acquisitions since we have been founded. We would look with this public currency we now have to potentially execute on other M&A. So I think you'll see us grow our revenue quite rapidly, and I think that's going to fall disproportionately to the bottom line with the operating leverage we have in place. So that's how we think about it. We think about scaling the business from where it is right now, and that'll allow us to take on even bigger programs of record, bigger programs like Starlab, but there are others within the company that we're executing on as well.
Dylan, there'll be people listening to this all around the world that may have no idea that the International Space Station is going to be decommissioned, and have no understanding that your proposal is to build space stations, next generation space stations, and put them into low Earth orbit. I wondered if you just go through the basic modus operandi by which you hope to do that, and the scale we're talking about, please.
Yeah, well, first of all, this has happened before. So the space shuttle, which was owned and operated by the government, was retired, right? That was put out of commission. And NASA and others decided to commercialize launch, and that gave birth to SpaceX and other commercial space launch companies. So the same thing's happening on destinations. The International Space Station is going to come down, as you said. SpaceX has been awarded a contract to deorbit it in 2030. And so what's going to replace those are commercial space stations where governments will be a tenant, they'll be a user of those services and not the owner-operator. So what we can do under that new platform, call it 2030s technology rather than 2000s technology, is really optimize it for the most promising elements of microgravity, which is biopharma research, things like growing perfect crystals in space, data centers in space, and all these other commercial opportunities that are somewhat supply constrained because of the ISS capacity. It's at capacity currently.
Dylan, a recent public feud between President Donald Trump and Elon Musk has Wall Street speculating if there will be more runway for competitors if Musk's SpaceX were to lose favor with the U.S. government. How do you see Voyager fitting in there?
Well, I think, look, it's a very robust industry with a lot of players. SpaceX is a crucial player in the industry. we do business with them regularly. We have a launch contract signed with them. So SpaceX is really important, but there are other players in the industry that are also doing great things. The industry is a bit unique in the sense that we all are looking to collaborate and cooperate. Space is very difficult, and these infrastructure projects are very challenging, and so it's perhaps a bit more collaborative than other industries, and really everyone's rooting for everyone else. I mean, and I mean that sincerely, because it's important that we get replacements up there prior to the International Space Station being decommissioned.
Dylan, many of your peers tell me that space is the next domain for war and conflict. How important do you think your relationships with the Pentagon, the DoD, Space Force will be in your future business model?
Well, it's about half of our business today is national security and defense. So one program we're on, for example, is Next Generation Interceptor. That's the program that Lockheed Martin recently won. We favor into that program quite significantly with our propulsion technology and optical navigation technology. So it's already an important part. Next Generation Interceptor is notable because it is designed to intercept hypersonic missiles that fly into space potentially. So to your earlier point, space is very much being militarized in the sense that there are new threats that we need to, as a Western country and Western value system, need to be able to combat.
Mm-hmm. Dylan, what impact do you anticipate from upcoming defense policy changes out of Washington on the U.S. defense industry?
You know, it appears to be bullish for defense spending. I mean, if the president gets what he has asked for Golden Dome, that would potentially be a windfall into the areas that we're talking about. There's still some work, of course, to get that passed. On the commercial space side that we were talking about earlier, even under the NASA so-called skinny budget the president proposed, it's still quite robust funding for commercial space stations. So at least from our vantage point, we're not too concerned about that. But obviously policy and budgets do matter. But right now it looks, I would say, generally favorable for our business.
Dylan, you mentioned Golden Dome. Is ink dry on that for you in your participation? And the relationship with Palantir on the software side, it seems very critical for you. Does that tie into Golden Dome?
Yeah, so we're on the Golden Dome. Well, I'm sorry, we're on the Next Generation Interceptor program. Golden Dome, think of that almost as like a brand, and think of it as layers of an onion for different defensive threats. So it's to be defined in terms of exactly what that is. But on the program I mentioned earlier, we're already a part of that team, and we're already executing on contracts, a development contract there. Palantir's a shareholder. We're both headquartered in Denver. They're across the street from us. In fact, our executive teams are friendly. They're a shareholder in Voyager, and they're also a shareholder in Starlab, the space station joint venture. And they're great partners. We collaborate with them very closely, and we have several growth initiatives where they play a very important role.